wonderful show put together by a guest curator just for the museum. You've met her. Did any of us talk to her? Yes.
I've seen the exhibit, but didn't see it.
Okay, yes. Dr. Tamika Erickson is from Kent State University. She is dean of a fashion school, and she also is very involved in curating exhibits. She had one about 3 years ago at the Kent Museum called Textures, all about how art reflects the African American experience with their hair. And she wrote a book about it, if you want to know. So I think what we're going to do is move away from Sloan because she's very loud. We'll go this way to start. There's just a couple like big ideas here, or more than a couple, but we're just doing a couple. She's got this divided into 4 ideas: remembering, resistance, religion, and radicalization. Okay. What she's also done is she has based a lot of her thoughts around African folklore and folk tales, which is what the slaves and enslaved people used in order to keep memories of home and keep memories of their family when they were taken away from everything. If you want to, on the way out, or right now, if you can, get one of those little pamphlets, and inside of it has a little squares. You use your phone and listen to the folk tales that she's referring to. You could also buy the book in the gift store. So this room is the room that is referencing remembering, the idea of trying to keep a hold of memories of her past. But I think she actually focuses a lot more here on the travels. And so let's just look at a couple of these, and then just so you get a feeling, and then you can come back, if you want to. But for example, this lovely mixed media piece, there's not a whole lot about it on the wall, which is why I like to talk about it, because she did talk about it. What this represents is the Gold Coast in Ghana, and the first real slave traders were the Portuguese and the Dutch. And the Portuguese had taken over the Gold Coast and had built castles. Well, the British came in and saw a great opportunity, took that over, and they made the top of the castles into churches to show how good they were, and the base of the castles into slaveholding areas. So they protected their slaves by building a church on top. And that way boats could come in, collect their cargo, and leave, and it was all disguised by a church. So this is the idea of going back to the very beginnings of how slavery was set up. And then another one that I think is real good to look at in here is this one. It's called Blessed Be the Fruit of Thy Womb. You're smiling, what do you see?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Would you like to go further with that?
No.
That's wonderful double meaning.
Yeah. All right, so.
And you gotta look at it closely too. I'll show you one. Go ahead, if you know, they glimmer.
Why, I like it when somebody else wants to add to this. This is
The
good.
seeds glimmer. If you get close to it, they're like jewels. If you look, they're glimmering and shining. So the captives on this ship were not just stupid nothings. They were glimmering in gems, actually.
Yeah, hidden.
But hidden, right? Hidden inside.
And your double symbolism is the watermelon, which is a very racist symbol, with the idea that if you create the storyline that somebody is stupid and worthless, then they have no value. So therefore, it's okay to do this. They have no value. And so we've got the double thing of the shape of the ship. We have the important people inside who shine. We have the capture of the net. And this artist kind of put all that together. And so again, remembering where people came from. Now the other thing, and I don't know whether you've seen it in today's news, and I'm not getting political, but the Palestinians have not been allowed to show their flag for a very long time. Their flag is green, red, and black. So they often will be seen carrying pieces of watermelon. So now, instead of being a racist thing, it is a radical thing for the Palestinians to do. So that's just out there. Yeah. So one more thing I want to show you in this gallery, and then we'll move, because I think a lot of people are unaware of
Thanks
this
for pointing that out.
awful. Hi, are you part of our tour? Oh, welcome. Well, you can just join us. My name's Amy. Good to see you. All right. Okay, this our piece of art is called Bread for Pleasure. And there was always women taken in order for the masters and the overseers to rape them and breed more slaves. And I think that Curly Holden, who is a Kent artist, if you look at the symbolism in this, you have a full, complete, beautiful woman. But after you've been used and used and used and used, you become a ghost of yourself. And I think that's an awesome way of taking this horrific idea and expressing it. The other thing that comes with this, remember in the watermelon when we talked about if you make somebody worthless because they just like watermelon, the black women were called Jezebels, which again negates their value, which again makes it okay to rape. So that's the gist of what these artists are trying to get to in this room, is remembering where they came from, remembering what they had to go through. And in the next room, we're going to go to resistance, which is a lot of uplifting. This is why it's going to be a quick. All right, resistance. According to Dr. Tamika, she looked at it in 4 different sections. You can resist the tragedy of your life by looking at heroes who are representative of you, your color, your background. So here we have heroes that for the African American. You also can resist your situation by becoming part of the arts and music. You can also resist your situation by actually resisting, and we have these wonderful stories about the slaves overthrow of the French in Haiti. And then the last resistance is remembering your family who has been taken away from you most likely, and you're not with your family. Does this make sense? So we'll look at a couple of these because again we have a half hour. So on this wall we have John Henry. A lot of you probably know the story of John Henry, who was a black man who was wrongly convicted of doing something or another, put in prison, and his punishment was to work on laying down the tracks for the railroad. And at one point he bet that he could do it faster than the machine could do it, because there's a very famous song about this. And he did succeed in doing it faster than the machine, but because of his conditions of living, he had lung condition and he died after completing his job. But so he's a hero. And so this artist puts him on a stamp, because that's what we do in America. We put important people on stamps, right? And so this artist put John Henry on the stamp because he would have been a hero. Here we have Joe Louis, famous boxer. And I'm just going to tell you another aside because this is my tour. Are you familiar with Jack Johnson? Jack Johnson was the boxer who preceded Joe Louis in becoming the most famous black boxer in America. And Jack Johnson could beat every white boxer there was, even the ones that came over from Europe, he could beat them. But his problem was he wasn't humble. When he won his boxing matches, he lorded it over the fallen white men. Didn't go over real well, right? So the white folks in Louisiana at this point trumped up charges against him for raping a minor, totally wrong. And to escape that, Jack Johnson went to Europe and finished out most of his boxing career there. And then the Americans were like, oh, come back home, we forgive you, we love you, you're a great boxer. He came back, he was put in jail. When he got out, there was a young Joe Louis, and Jack Johnson gave him a lot of tips. Be like the white man, and then you will be successful, and they're not going to do to you what they did to me. So I think both those boxers should be on the wall, but we have Joe Louis here. So let's look over here at art and music. This is just an aside. One of the craziest pieces in here, in my estimation, is the one in the corner there. I can't find out anything about it, but you might want to look at it on yourselves closer. So we'll come over to the music here so we can okay, they're going to go over and look at it now. All right, we'll go over and look at it now. Because I would like to hear what you guys have to say about this. It's called Margot and the 1 1/2 Vandellas. And we know Martha and the Vandellas, right? What do you see?
I see the zebras wearing human skin and humans wearing zebra skin in the bed.
Oh, okay. And there's no right answers to any of this. So we have a zebra reference, like a zebra mask or face or a zebra.
Yeah. It looks like they're like trying to. Oh, and the zebra person's like pulling the hair. Okay. Now it's starting to come over.
Yeah, it continues here.
Well,
The song.
kind of, a little bit, yeah.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
But then
Those are the
this
same
next-
fingers coming through. I don't know where the hands coming from.
What did I tell you? Now, I looked this up online because I'm fascinated by this piece. And I like to take groups in front of it because I hear, that's the first thing I heard about the zebra, it being in a person's skin.
Yeah.
You know, because somebody said to me, this looks like the back of the zebra where the muscle on the back would come from. But the artist, I found out about him, he is an art professor at Duke University. The only information they had is he makes radical African American art. Ta-da. But isn't that a cool picture? Or print? It's a print.
This is Pacific up
Yeah. Well, we've got
here. And narwhal
yeah, we got little fishes and,
and fingers.
yeah.
Fishes.
And I think, you know, it's Margot and the 1 1/2 Vandellas, and we know Martha and the Vandellas from way back in the day, and to me this represents like a microphone. So that's the only connection I can get with that. And I looked up Vandellas, and it is a popular African-American name that has spiritual meaning. That's all they say. So, I did my homework the best I could for you guys. You have a comment? Oh, okay. Well, Wikipedia. Yeah. I just. All right. Well, we've puzzled over that one. Let's look at an easier one. All right. So the African-American musician became very respected in his or her place. So we have the Jazz Mahogany Hall is in New Orleans, which is where this was supposed to take place. And I like this one because to me there's a lot of energy of music in it, a lot of energy of whatever's happening. And as we go down here, we have the St. Louis Blues. We have jazz from Lincoln Center. And so she has put together a whole collection of things dealing with the success of the African American music. And one thing I kind of neglected to tell you, he was here. Was asked to do this show, and so she found a couple who lives in Georgia, Missy and Wesley Cochran. And every piece of art in here is owned by the Cochrans. And they started collecting in the early 1970s with the idea of nobody else was collecting, let's see what we can get. And Tamika was funny. She said, well, I saw their names, and then I looked them up, and I thought, what the hell, they're white.
Oh, they are? Really?
Yes. And she's a school teacher. He's a blue-collar worker. They're not art experts, but they did get a black curator to help them, Camille Bowers, who we're going to see some of her work as we go through here. So they started collecting, and what's interesting is once you start a collection, people want to borrow it and show it, and so they have to pay you to do that. So since the 70s, that's kind of rolled over to where now they have enough money where these Jacob Lawrence prints are probably one of the most expensive things we have on the walls. Are you familiar with Jacob Lawrence? All right, well, you should be. Go home and look them up. Anyway, so resistance through music, and here we have resistance through the actual act of resistance. This print by Jacob Lawrence is the revolt of the Amistad, which is when the slaves tried to take over the ship from the slaveholders. You can Google it, look it up. For some reason, there's nothing on the tag about it. But look at the struggle here, even though it's abstract. Can you see the struggle? The hands grabbing, the blood, the knives. So here, again, is maybe a more typical idea of resistance when the word comes to your mind. And then starting, these are, I don't know why these are put up this way. We have to start down here. All right, and this is Jacob Lawrence's tribute to the Haitian rebellion that was in the late 1700s when a slave, I'm sorry, his last name's in French, I can't say it, decided he was going to make plans to overthrow the French who were colonizing Haiti. So we're making plans, recruiting. Then we have the actual going into battle. With the females waving as they go off into battle. And one thing I thought was kind of interesting here is that even though he's African American, he's a slave, almost the French costume on him.
I was about to say, is that a costume?
Yeah, or maybe.
A uniform.
Yeah, and so I'm not an expert in the Revolution. I'm not sure where it came from, but when I first saw this, I was like, wow. But I imagine Jacob Lawrence did his research because he's no slouch. And then this, to me, very powerful print of the actual battle. Look at that white, look at the black, look at those browns. I mean, the rhythm, the movement, the march. What do you guys think? I mean,
You can see a lot of like mass and numbers, pretty much. Huge group of people joining together for one cause, I guess.
yeah.
I like the red, the foreshadow almost with the red, like if you're going off to war, with like in the grass area, like blood or violence, anger.
So if Jacob Lawrence isn't on your radar, learn a little bit more about him, because like the Whitney right now has a fantastic show of his prints that document the trials and tribulations of the black getting their vote. And some of it is brutal, some of it is very redeeming, but there's 20 different prints, and that's the theme he's got going on there. You will find him everywhere now that you know who he is, right? Okay? Yes, all right. So last in resistance, we have remembering the family, which is what keeps us human, right? You can remember your family, your roots, where you came from, and I'm not talking about a TV show. You gain inner strength from that. So we have the farmer and his wife. We have the family. I'm going to throw out another name to you. This is Romar Bearden. No, yes. All right, that's why I have my handy-dandy iPad here. Because, again, Romar Bearden is someone who is very, very famous, but most of his work is collage. And it's all about the African-American experience. And so it would be probably 3 times the size of that piece there. Here's just another one to give you an idea. So it's collage work. It's really fascinating work. So this is a print, but can you see how it, has the collage feel? Yeah. And so I don't know what date of this is in relationship to this. Again, they might have gotten it earlier, because it was cheap. As they were collecting, I don't know, but I love the strength of this. But I am puzzled exactly what's happening over here.
I think washing. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like washing. That's why. To me, this is pretty easy to tell, but that's just.
It's a little, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But I'd like to bring that to people's attention, because you might have missed it.
Speaking of the medium, I've walked through the exhibit once before. So much of it is prints or silk screens. Is that
They're
just
going
what
to
they
be more
collected?
inexpensive because there's many of them.
I see.
Okay,
So when they started their collection,
right, that would be what, except for Jacob Morris, those aren't going to be cheap anytime. But so when you're starting with, prints, there might be like 200 of some made, which is going to diminish their value. What's interesting, if you look at the prints with the name keys on it, that means artist proof, which means it's the first one in the artist pool, which is going to be more valuable. So good old Margot over there is an artist proof. So that's just kind of.
I didn't know that was the medium that some of these
Right. So yeah, and also easy to store, because when you get into sculptures or paintings, you got to worry about temperature and space. So family, you can look more now. In the next room, I think we're just going to breeze through because of time constraints. During the Haitian Revolution, the French soldiers went home defeated, and they blamed their defeat on the slaves following voodoo. And voodoo was evil. And voodoo is what scared them away. And voodoo is what made them lose the war. And again, if you have time, if you circle back when we're done, what's in the video is a piece by The Guardian, a very respected thing, about how voodoo became demonized in America and around the world.
Voodoo is just a religion.
And it's just a religion, right? And it's still very much an active religion in parts of the United States. And no, they do not sacrifice children, okay? So that's what's going on in the video. And, if you want to come back and look at it more, we can. So, all right, well, let's go back in. I think Sloan's done over here. you've noticed just the venue thing. On the walls is mud cloth, which is the way the slaves would have created different Africans, different patterns. And Tamika had that made just for this exhibit. She's got the woven grass on the walls, reference to African, savannah. The colors are very warm. So this is all her baby, putting it together as one large thing. So in this area, what we have is religion and how religion supports you when you need help. These first two are not by the same artist, but they have almost the same idea. Oh, yeah, really cool.
Yeah, both really cool.
Yeah. Erase that off of that. All right, so in both of these, the main theme is iron. Here's the iron as a domestic thing. These are the protons and neutrons that go with the element of iron. But iron came from the voodoo of Ogden, who was god of iron and therefore was to be very reverent. But then you take it one step further into the domestic position that so many of the slaves and African Americans were put in. And so the iron then becomes more domestic. We all know where this picture came from, right? All right, the Grant Wood painting, very famous. It's in the Art Institute of Chicago. This is not a couple, I think you know that. This is Grant Wood's Dennis, and this is his sister. The house which he looked at that was so full of, Gothic thing. Actually, one of these houses you could buy from the Sears catalog and be mailed to you, and you could build it yourself. So that's the background. But look at this. Look again. If you make somebody a nobody by taking away their face, then you can ask them to do whatever you want them to do. Does that make sense?
He calls mother and grandmother and other family members with domestics.
Right, yes. So he was, that was part of his life here. But I think what I like about it goes beyond that. This is such a larger statement. So, based on the religion here, we've got the reaction to the iron. In voodoo, chicken feet are supposed to be very spiritually important. They scratch away at your enemies, so we have a chicken foot woman. I'm not going to do all these. This one is another one I've stood in front of for a very long time. The Holy Family, there's so many different kinds of references in it. And this one I'd like to talk about just real quick because it kind of looks like a spooky thing, but in voodoo, you have a relationship with your ancestors. So you see, the child isn't scared. He's conversing with an ancestor here. Okay, so again, you have resistance through religion, through your beliefs. Here's some more typical ones. And so you can see where they have gone back to the symbolism of the basically white medieval Renaissance artists. And, the idea of religion giving you some strength. So, radicalization is what is looking at the rest of these. And, the wood sculptures in the middle, they're part of the religion called Vespers. Yeah, that's right.
I'm pretty sure that's.
Yeah, that one, the big one, talks about the prince.
Well, I think that's also for the prince too. But
Oh, okay.
right, I'll check.
Yeah,
But I think
All right, so this last section is radicalization, where the African American, even now, may not be able to do what they want to do. So finally was able to work as a printmaker and teach that, compared to just like the death of me, one of you asked, couldn't enroll as the African Americans, even after slavery. This one, I wanted to be a gardener, but they made me learn how to lay bricks, kind of something. And then lifestyle, because of redlining in the modern day, and because of just life in the other days, where African American families were regulated to live were not the best places. Beverly Buchanan, I think, is an interesting woman. She discovers these shacks on people's property still standing up, discovers who lives in them, takes pictures, and then creates a three-dimensional version of the shacks, just out of found stuff that probably the shacks were originally built out of. And a little funny story with this, Tamika was saying when she was visiting the Cochrans, this was sitting on like their end table. She's like, oh, we need this for the exhibit. And they're like, no, it's too fragile, you can't take it. Well, she sweet talked her way into it, which is why it's behind glass. We got to have it for our exhibit here. So these pastels are in relationship to the idea of redlining. We know what redlining is, right? Okay, and the idea that maybe these aren't the best places, but they're often filled with the happiness of families, which is why this has pink and this has bright colors. And then lastly, and then I'll let you go back to some of these. This is a series by Camille Billups, and she was the curator who met Wesley and Missy and started to help them with their collection because they were, they're just collecting things. And so this is her work. We have the KKK Boutique, which kind of speaks for itself. And then the next two are from her series, picking up on the idea of the minstrel show, the blackface, which a lot of people don't realize that went on into the 70s. And I just think, I don't know, to me these, I don't know, they moved me a lot. Just the caricatures that, are made of people. It's just, again, taking away the humanness of a whole civilization. And this is another one by Camille. I don't know if you've ever heard Billie Holiday's song, Strange Fruit. Well, if you look at this bowl closely, that's what this reference is. The strange fruit hanging from the trees. And again, this was sitting on the Cochran's kitchen table, and Tamika said, can I have it for the exhibit? And they're like, no. Well, Tanika had her wig. But again, to me, it's very powerful, and to have it in something so mundane as a bowl on your kitchen table, just recognizing the horrific idea of lynching. So any comments, or like I said, this is real quick, and questions that...
Well, thank you so much, Amy. Appreciate the tour.
Well, I'm so glad you came, and I hope you can take your time and go back through most of the, these have official names? I call them tickets.
Labels.
Labels, there we go. Most of the labels do have a lot of good information on them, so you can focus on what you want. What's up on the walls? I mean, I love this one. Oh man, when I got there, they wouldn't let me into the white man's heaven, but I grabbed me some